Hey guys, Anthony here, and Nintendo just officially last week unveiled its brand new console coming out later in the year. So I thought what might be fun is to try to predict what games are available at launch, which for me is a little bit weird because I've always hated what I call speculation content, content that makes very definitive statements about things that haven't even really been officially confirmed yet. Things like, when can we expect a Smash 6 when we haven't even been told we're getting one? Or something like why Metroid Prime 4 will be released this summer. We don't know what date it's coming out. So I've always hated that kind of thing, but I think the fact that I know what I'm telling you has no basis in anything substantial. I'm just, having a bit of fun with it. I hope you'll forgive me for that. So let's get into it. So, the Switch 2 library. Well, the only game we're guaranteed so far is a new Mario Kart game since we saw it in the trailer. I think this has the potential to be the most fun Mario Kart game yet, even if Donkey Kong looks like Kevin James got a job driving an Uber. Personally, I'm hoping that this game is a little more skill-based than the previous one. I just felt like the rubber banding was a little too much. It was a bit too easy to get lucky with the items and go from last place to first place in my opinion. Also, it's not going to happen, but a simpler character roster would be nice. I'm not really into how the last game characters were Mario made out of peanut butter and jelly, or Princess Peach from the Paris fashion show. We don't need 10 variations of everybody. Mallow and Gino have a new revitalized popularity. Give me them instead. It's also not going to happen. The trailer did show baby versions of everybody, but I don't know, maybe we'll get a baby Thwomp. That could be cute. But even though we don't know anything for sure in regards to what the Switch 2 launch lineup will be, there are a few safe bets that we can make. The first is, of course, a new Super Mario Bros. Game. Nintendo has always launched a system with Super Mario or some character from his series. Now, that's not the most exciting prediction because it's an easy prediction. I've got to give you something a little bit more than that. So, what I'll do is try to offer a guess as to what the theme of the game will be. Mario games usually come with a gimmick or theme. We've had tropical islands, outer space, coin grabbing. I mean, how are we going to top that one? Well, I'm going to make a half-assed prediction and say that the next Mario game is going to have a retro theme, for lack of a better word. It's possible Nintendo's mascot's next journey is going to be a remix of all his past adventures. Think something like Sonic Mania, but with 3D Mario. Uh, my rationale is that Shigeru Miyamoto is a senior citizen, and we don't know how many more Mario and Zelda games he'll work on, and a game like that could be a fitting final Mario from his creator, a good swan song. And unfortunately, as per usual with the mainline Mario series, Luigi and Yoshi won't be invited on this adventure. The other very safe bet that we can make is that we'll be getting some game that demonstrates the new capabilities of the console. Nintendo systems always launch with a game like that. The Wii had Wii Sports, the Wii U had a few games that revolved around the gamepad, and heck, you can even say that Super Mario 64 was a demo for 3D in general. Now, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed or if it's still just a rumor, but it's been said that the system will include a function that works similar to a computer mouse. So going off that, if it's true, we can expect a game that revolves around that feature. But can we be more specific? What kind of game could have us click away like a Karen on Cyber Monday? Well, it's kind of hard to describe the game that I'm picturing, but I'm going to use the term social media. I think there's going to be an interactive component to this game, one that relies heavily on expressing yourself and chatting away with others, but in a gamified way. So that's what I think the game could be. They just have to figure out how to make a game like that where players don't resort to calling each other fat and ugly. We mentioned Donkey Kong before. I do think a new one is coming, but not at launch. And I don't think he's going to have that awful redesign. My suspicion is that that's just a placeholder that they left there to get YouTubers talking about the system. If not, we'll just get them to change it. We did it with Movie Sonic, we can do it with DK. But seriously, Nintendo has been going pretty hard on Donkey Kong. They're updating his theme park, releasing his old games. It doesn't make sense to redesign him with that in mind. So I don't think we need to be worried like somebody stole our banana horde or something like that. So yeah, It's been 10 years since a new game, they're trying to get us hyped, they'll likely announce a new Donkey Kong Country is coming during the April Direct. However, it might be likely that the game won't be made by Retro Studios. They were not responsible for the latest remaster, and they weren't even credited at the end of the game, which sucks because they made some kick-ass Donkey Kong games. That also means probably that the Snowmads and Tiki Tak Tribe won't return, but it does mean we might be getting the Kremlings back. It seems like Nintendo has been trying to give the fans what they think the fans want. Like, the Sheikah were already a technologically advanced ancient race, but tons of YouTubers kept talking about the Zonai, so Nintendo just shoved them into Tears of the Kingdom even though they were clearly barbarians previously. Also, the console is just called the Switch 2, probably because so many YouTubers kept calling it that, and then the company felt obligated to call it the Switch 2 instead of the Super Switch or something better, in my opinion. So, in that vein, I do think the Kremlings have a good chance of coming back. We also know Metroid Prime 4 is on the horizon, but is it? It was announced in what, 2017? But I actually do think it's coming soon, and it'll get a hard release date at the April Direct. And when it does come out, I think it'll reference the first game by having a twist ending that would make M. Night Shyamalan jealous. Holy crap! Samus's real name is Barbara! As far as Zelda is concerned, it could go either way. Normally, I'd say it's not likely we're getting a new Zelda within the first year, but then I think back to how Nintendo said they want to release a new Zelda every year, so it could happen. If it does happen, it definitely won't be on the scale of Breath of the Wild. Most likely, any new Zelda game would be a remake of something like Phantom Hourglass or Twilight Princess. Or, if it's an all-new Zelda, it'll be something smaller scale like Minish Cap. Or even smaller than that, something like Tingle's Kick Me in the Balls Challenge. The same goes for Fire Emblem. The release between Three Houses and Engage was surprisingly short in my view, so if they announced a full-blown Fire Emblem, I'd be quite surprised again. If anything, it would be a smaller scale adventure like The Binding Blade, or a spin-off, like those Fire Emblem Warriors. The fans wanted a full-on waifu simulator anyway. Also, if they do have a Fire Emblem game coming out soon, I don't think Marth will be coming back. I feel like they like to alternate between bringing Marth back and not bringing him back. So for this next one, I think he'll be sitting at home on his throne in Altia. Nintendo loves to push out a new mainline Pokemon game every few years, and we're about due for a new one soon, because if they don't churn one out every so often, how's Ditto gonna pay child support for all those kids? Still, I say no way it's happening at launch. Like I said, we always get a Mario game at launch, and Nintendo isn't going to want their other huge kid-friendly franchise competing with their mascot. It is possible the system will launch with something under the umbrella of Pokemon, but not a mainline game. Something like Pokemon Snap or Pokemon Troze. Not those series specifically, but something like those. Now, it's undeniable that Nintendo's been top dog this last console generation. Their only real weak spot is that due to a combination of lack of hardware power and also their own innovation, they haven't had as much support from third-party developers as they could. I think they're going to prioritize changing that and come out of the gate swinging with some strong titles from other companies. A good choice would be to announce that they've got Metaphor ReFantasio. It's got a lot of buzz and was a Game of the Year candidate, so it would be a good move. But, even more monumental than that, I think there's a chance we could see the Final Fantasy VII remakes. I definitely don't think it'll be at launch. If anything, they'll wait until the trilogy is complete, and then they'll sell it in a deluxe package altogether, but I'd wager they could announce it right away. The reason I suspect this is because we did have those articles about Square Enix saying they wanted to branch out more, not be so tied to the PlayStation branding, and the series has been popular on Nintendo consoles. We've got the Pixel remasters, one of the best Smash Bros. Players uses Cloud Strife as his main character, so he is very popular, and it just makes sense that Nintendo would want Final Fantasy VII to be on their console. That is going to be one expensive bundle, though. Let's hope Sephiroth is as eager to slash prices as he is to slash throats. If Square Enix somehow doesn't do that, I think we can expect an HD 2D remake of Chrono Trigger. It's a little weird they decided to remake Live Alive before they did Chrono Trigger, isn't it? That art style isn't as appealing to me as it is to everybody else. This last Dragon Quest remake is the only time it made me want to actually go out and buy the game, but I'd be shocked if they remade this Super Nintendo classic in this art style and it didn't sell well. And since they don't show any signs of stopping with remaking their old games in this style, it's not out of the question. If they do it though, I just hope the game doesn't include any censorship like they did with the last game. I mean, where else am I going to see scantily clad anime babes, right? Also the frog. I want to see a slutty version of the frog. The other big company that I suspect Nintendo is courting is Capcom. I don't know why, but for some reason I've got this feeling in my gut that there's a new Monster Hunter game in the works and Nintendo will have it available at launch. What kind of creatures are we going to slay? Well, if the tabloids are to be believed, the monster we should be fighting is Blake Lively. But on a personal level, the Capcom game I'd like to see show up is Street Fighter 6. I'm not going to pretend I know how console exclusive contracts work, but if the Switch 2 is considered part of a different console generation, that might allow for a deal where Nintendo is able to put the game on its new hardware, and that's a good thing because that hardware is going to actually be capable of running the game. And thank God, because I haven't cracked anybody's skull like a watermelon between Chun-Li's thighs since 1992. To add a little more goodies, I think Nintendo is going to sweeten the deal by launching the console with some new heavy hitters to their online service. I think we could see some heavy hitters like Diddy Kong Racing, Pokemon Red and Blue, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. They might give us a ton of Bomberman because why isn't there any there yet? Unless Konami is planning on doing what they did to the Castlevania series by releasing compilations, it really makes no sense why we don't have some Super Bomberman games, Bomberman 64, and others. Or maybe they're just planning on making a Bomberman pachinko machine, who knows? It might also make sense that Nintendo contacted a few indie developers to develop some new surprises for the console. But a surer bet than that is, I think we'll get UFO 50. Since the original Switch launched, there have been a few indie gems that seemed perfect for Nintendo specifically that somehow didn't debut on the console. Like, remember when it didn't get Cuphead or Pizza Tower and you're like, come on, what's going on here? Retro fans would agree that UFO 50 falls in that category, and since we got those other games, I think we can expect, dare I say, UFO 51. It comes with a whole extra game, but that game will just end up being something like Snow Brothers. Finally, there's one more game that I think we are likely to get, and I think it will take advantage of the mouse feature. I think we're going to get a sequel to Kid Icarus Uprising. In Japanese culture, there's a concept called karoshi, which describes the phenomenon where so many people in Japan work themselves to the point of collapsing. Reputation implies that Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai is that type of person. And a lot of people think the reason he came out of retirement was to work on a new Smash Bros. I don't think that's the case. I think that might cause him to fall back into his old habits. But I do think he still wants to keep himself busy in work, and I think the way for him to do that is to work on a new Kid Icarus. I don't think it would happen with that title. He can probably be a little more hands-off and work at a much slower pace with that game. If we do somehow see a Smash Brothers, if we get it in some form, I'd lean more toward Nintendo releasing a deluxe version of the Smash Ultimate game with all the downloadable characters on the cartridge, reworked just a little bit so that they're more balanced to fight on rollback netcode, hopefully. You hear that? Steve is finally going to get his nerfs, and he's going to be a sphere! So those are my thoughts and predictions. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think, what games you think are coming, what other surprises might be in store for us. I'm curious as to what you think. Also, this is only kind of related, but I've been using the Nintendo Music app, and sometimes when I go through a playlist, it'll play a couple of songs and then just stop for no reason. Let me know if you know why that's happening and how to stop it. I just want a little bit of help. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. I cover a wide variety of things on this channel, and click the bell for notifications. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.